Hello and welcome to the Fake Sports League, where it's all statistics and no substance. As always, I'm your host, Kenny Fisher, and it is Rivalry Week in the FSL. This is the last game of the season. We have the All-Star game on the horizon, the playoffs, the championship. It is all happening right now. The big story today is Sharks, Dragons, and Phantoms all tied by record in that number one spot. Only the top two will receive byes in the first round of the playoffs. If any one of those teams lose, they risk losing that first round bye, and if all three win, it's going to be determined by margin of victory. That covers 3 of our 4 games today, and the 4th being the Comets and Frogs, who determined the last playoff spot clinched. That's right, if the Comets can upset the Frogs today, it will come down to margin of victory to determine who will make that 6th and final playoff spot in the FSL playoffs. And if that's not enough excitement for you, it's rivalry week on top of that. So every single team has a chance to screw over their rivals today in the final game of the FSL season. I'm too excited to even speak. Let's take things now to Sharks Cove, where it's worst versus first. Rogelio Gill and Doug Powers go head-to-head against Marcus Evans and Al Key. Evans one of the front-runners in the MVP's discussion, but the Tide have a chance to grab their first win of the season and possibly kick their rivals out of the bye. Let's get into it. It will be Marcus Evans with the first point of the game. Sharks up early 1-0. Can this Tide offense respond? Chet Linder from the Sharks takes it back and passes it out to Marcus Evans, who scores again 2-0. Sharks up 3-0 now. Marcus Evans on fire. An early lead for the Sharks, and a big one. Al Key's on the board. It's 4-0. This Tide team hasn't even gotten started yet. Donnie Earl's now getting in on the action, and everybody on this Sharks team is scoring points. Chet Linder once again. It is a bloodbath. 7-0. Can the Tide keep away from a shutout here? It's 8-1 now. Doug Powers on the board, but 9 points for this Sharks team, and that will be the game. 9-1. That is the biggest margin of victory game I've ever seen, and I guess it makes sense the Sharks trying to really assure that they win that margin of victory battle for the first round bye. 3 points for every single player on offense. That is incredible performance from the Sharks today. I know the Tide are going to be looking ahead to next season already, but this is something out of Rivalry Week that they will never live down. Let's take things over to the castle now, where Quinn McHugh and the Knights take on Tobias Fonseca, the first rounder from the Dragons. Both these teams have clinched the playoffs, but a chance to keep their rivals out of that first round bye. Let's get into it. And it's Quinn McHugh to strike first. 1-0 Knights on the board. Xavier King just as fast ties it up, but Pablo Lambert getting in on the action, and Francesco Sage, their star player on offense, to tie it up. But a couple bang-bang points, and we are into a shootout. Lee Cho and Francesco Sage with 2 apiece. It's 5-4 now. Quinn McHugh keeps the lead, but 3 points now for Francesco Sage, who ties the game. It's 6-5. Very reminiscent of their playoff game last season. The Dragons got to get something going to fight for that first round bye. It's 4 points for Quinn McHugh, and it's 7-5, the largest lead of the night. Dragons defense got to dig deep with 5 seconds on the clock. Francesco Sage, but Quinn McHugh with 5 points finishes the game. 8-6. Knights win it, and the Knights, who have been struggling a little late in the season, knock their Dragons out of the first round bye if the Phantoms can win today. Dragons fans, don't go anywhere yet, because Phantoms Mystics is the game of the week, and if the Mystics win, you might have a chance. What a game for Quinn McHugh and the Knights. That makes 4 games in a row that Quinn McHugh has scored 4 points or more. This is unprecedented dominance from the rookie out of Seaside University. We take things now to the Comets and Frogs. Comets haven't technically been eliminated from the playoffs, but they would need to absolutely blow out the Frogs tonight to secure a spot. Drew Park and Benny Bronk back at it. Let's see if they can get a win on the road. It's Cody Cooper to score first for the Comets, and it's 1-0 early in the game. Benny Bronk gets his first for the Frogs, and Drew Park will finish out that sequence. 1-1, Frogs tie it up. DeAndre Boyd takes it back, but Scotty Crane just as fast for the Comets. Gets the ball out to Ray Sparks to take the lead. 2-1, 2-2 now. Gary Black into the mix. And whatever happens now, it seems the game might end up close enough for the Frogs to sneak into the playoffs. But don't tell Drew Park that. The Frogs with a quick lead, 2-4 now. And the Frogs might take the game 2-5. Drew Park with 3 points on the board and 10 seconds left. Make it 6. It looks like the Comets team has just given up here. A 4-point lead, and 4 of those coming from Drew Park. 3-6 will be the final score, and the Frogs are into the playoffs. A 4-point game for their first rounder, Drew Park, and Benny Bronk, their defensive leader, finishes the night with 2 turnovers. That brings us now to the game of the week, where the Phantoms host the Mystics. And with the Dragons' loss to the Knights earlier tonight, if the Phantoms can win this game, they will secure a first-round bye in the playoffs. Percy Willis and Burrow Packer certainly don't want that to happen, and if you're a Dragons fan, this is the team to root for. 45 on the clock, starting now. Chase Dubose with a quick score for the Phantoms. It's 1-0. The Phantoms have the best defense in the league, but if the Mystics can turn this into an offensive battle, then they might have the upper hand. Percy Willis now with 2 points already. It's tied up, but every single player on offense for the Phantoms is getting into the mix, and that's how they like to run their team, an offense by committee. But Carlos Gutierrez cuts the lead, and Burrow Packer takes it away from the Phantoms and gets it back to Carlos Gutierrez. It's a tied game now. Horace McLean now forces a turnover, and this is exactly how the Mystics like to run their team, capitalizing on turnovers. Will it be enough, though? It's a tied game, and the Phantoms take the lead. Chase Dubose with 3 points tonight. Burrow Packer gets it back to him with 2 seconds on the clock, and they don't finish. They can't get the shot off, and the Phantoms will take that first-round bye. What a game out of these two. Sharks and Phantoms on either side of the bracket with first-round byes. Let's take a look at your standings here. Sharks with their 8-point victory tonight solidifies them as the regular season champions, and they will cruise into the Final Four. Past the first two, the rankings get pretty easy to figure out. Let's take a look at the playoff bracket. It will be Mystics and Knights to start things off, Dragons and Frogs to finish off that first round. The playoffs are underway, but first, it's the All-Star Game as well as the FSL Players Award Show. Make sure you check the description for a link to vote for your fan favorite player of the year, and tap into the FSL Discord for all updates and player news. It's the postseason, so rep your team in the comments and let us know who you think will win the FSL MVP award. That's it for me in the booth. Have a safe night, everybody. We'll catch you in the next one on this official broadcast of the Fake Sports League.